Hi, I'm Billy, and welcome to Billy's VHS tapes. I have over 500 tapes, and I'm gonna review them all. For my first movie, I've chosen Shrek, everyone's favorite DreamWorks movie. Shrek is a big green misunderstood guy who just wants to be loved. Let's start off with some fun facts. Shrek was originally conceived as a children's book published by William Steig in 1990, and then in 1991 his character rights were bought by Steven Spielberg, who planned to make a movie out of him starring Bill Murray. But ultimately that changed, and the rights went to Chris Farley, who unfortunately died while he was recording his voice acting. The movie sat in limbo for years until it was finally recast with the cast that we know and love today. Mike Myers as Shrek, Eddie Murphy as Donkey, Cameron Diaz as Princess Fiona, and John Lithgow as Lord Farquaad. The film was released in 2001 and was directed by Andrew Adamson and Vicky Jensen. The movie was originally conceived as a stop-motion film, but when test audiences didn't like stop-motion, they decided to bring in another company to help out. Shrek came out when 2D and blocky animation was kind of a dying trend, so DreamWorks enlisted Pacific Data East to help them out, to give them that nice CGI flair that everybody seemed to be looking for. You know, that Pixar flair that everybody wanted. Cartoons and animation at this point were still looked at as kids' stuff. It was at this point that it was transitioning into the fact that people who were watching cartoons as children were still carrying on that love as an adult, and they were putting it into new medias. Not to mention the big anime boom at the time that was happening in America. All of these things were fuel to the fire that make cartoons still burn today. Shrek did well enough to spawn 3 sequels and several spin-offs. It took $60 million to make and made over $490 million at the box office. It was the first movie to receive an Oscar for Best Animated Feature. All this money and all these awards was enough to cement DreamWorks as a competitor against Disney and Pixar. Which was kind of funny because all the jokes in the movie make fun of Disney's retellings of the stories. Shrek has since become an icon and has been seen in many other medias outside of his film and had his face slapped over all over merchandising deals. He's been recognized as one of the greatest characters in the last 100 years, and he even has his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The first film has even been preserved in the National Film Registry. The opening song All Star was originally conceived for the movie Mystery Men, but after that movie bombed at the box office, it was used as a test song for the opening of Shrek. But they loved it so much that they kept it in the movie, and now the movie is way more associated with Shrek than it ever was with Mystery Men. Did you know? Shrek is an unlockable character that you can play as in Tony Hawk's Underground 2. It was available on PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, Microsoft Windows, and Game Boy Advance. Shrek was spotted in Tony Hawk 2 to promote the new Shrek 2 movie coming out at the time. I love Shrek. It's been one of my favorite movies ever since it came out. So, without further ado, let's watch it!
And now, our feature presentation.
Shrek is an ogre who lives alone in the swamp because most people and other creatures treat him like a monster, shrieking and running away in the other direction whenever just catching a glimpse of him. Outside of Shrek's little bubble, we find the evil tyrant Lord Farquaad, who wants to rid the entire land of all the fairy tale creatures. He sees them as trash who are poisoning the land. After a short dating game reference, he chooses to rescue Princess Fiona, who resides in a castle surrounded by a lake of boiling lava and who is guarded by a large dragon. Farquaad knows how dangerous this mission is, so he's sending his best guard to do the job. How romantic. Back in the forest, Farquaad's soldiers are handing out shillings to people who are turning in their fairy tale creatures, setting up the first interaction of the iconic duo Shrek and Donkey. After rescuing Donkey, by literally just standing there, Shrek reluctantly allows Donkey to stay at his place for the night. But before the night ends, Shrek learns that Farquaad has sent all of the fairy tale creatures to his swamp to be banished there. Obviously not thrilled by the unwelcome guest, Shrek sets out to find Lord Farquaad to get his swamp back, and reluctantly brings Donkey along because he's the only one who knows the way. Shrek and Donkey arrive at Farquaad's castle just as he's holding a tournament to find out who his best soldier is to go and rescue Princess Fiona. As Shrek and Donkey walk through the arena, they're booed and hissed at.
It's just a donkey.
Farquaad takes advantage of the situation and tells the soldiers whoever kills the ogre wins the prize of going after Princess Fiona, setting up a WWE-style fighting match where Shrek will defeat all of Farquaad's best soldiers. Farquaad then again takes advantage of the situation and makes a deal with Shrek. Rescue Fiona and get your swamp back. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our movie plot. Shrek and Donkey are again off to another castle, giving them lots of time to get to know each other, so to say. Shrek reveals to Donkey that ogres are very similar to onions. Everyone may not care for them, but there's more to them than what's on the outside. They have many layers, if you will. To which Donkey informs Shrek that onions are gross and he should be more like cake. Fast forward to the boys arriving at the castle where they cross the bridge and they're confronted by the dragon. Shrek is tail whipped into the tower where Fiona just happens to be. And Donkey finds out that the dragon's trying to get laid. What? After some quick thinking, maneuvering, and running, the new trio escape the dragon's keep, leading to an awkward conversation where Fiona learns that Shrek is not her Prince Charming, but instead,
I'm a delivery boy.
Shrek snatches her up and they head back to Farquaad's castle. Along the way, Fiona becomes curious about her new husband, to which Shrek and Donkey enlighten her that he is short. He's short, okay? I don't have a joke for it. Just watch the movie. There's like a million shorts. The sun begins to set, and Fiona starts acting really weird. She demands that she be allowed to camp inside of a small cave that they happen to be walking by. Outside the cave, Shrek and Donkey sleep under the stars next to a fire, and Donkey proves that if you badger someone long enough, they'll eventually tell you what's bothering them. Shrek just wants to be loved, and not looked at like a monster, and Donkey tells him that he never saw him as a monster. The first step to a lifelong friendship. Or, until a major flop. Then there's a release scene where I'm pretty sure Farquaad's jerking off. And then after that, Fiona kills a bird by singing and then cooks and eats her unborn children. Fiona thinks they got off on the wrong foot and she wants to bury the hatchet. And along their walk, Shrek notices things about Fiona. Like her beating the snot out of Robin Hood and his merry dudes. Complete with slow-mo freeze-frame Matrix kick and all. After the fight, Fiona notices that Shrek has an arrow lodged in his butt. And in the process of pulling it out, things get sexy. The arrow comes out and the adventure continues. We get a montage of Shrek and Fiona bonding as they walk to Lord Farquaad's house, where they're just having a good time and discovering that they have a lot in common. The scene is set to My Beloved Monster and Me by the Eels, and it just feels really good. You can tell that they're really getting along. They spot Lord Farquaad's castle in the distance, and they decide to prolong their journey by having dinner, just to spend a little bit more time together. But that pesky sun starts to set, and Fiona gets all weird again. Dude, what's up with that? She runs into the nearby windmill and claims that she's going to bed. Donkey can feel the tension between Shrek and Fiona, and tells him that he needs to tell her about his feelings. But stubborn old Shrek thinks he's not good enough, and just walks away from it. After the sun sets, Donkey makes his way into the windmill to talk to Fiona, where we find out she's been transformed into an ogre. That's right, at the end of every day at the sunset, Fiona magically transforms into an ogre because of a curse. The only thing that can break the curse is true love's kiss. Oh, that's why she's being all weird. She tells Donkey that she's ugly and no one could ever love ugly. God loves ugly, baby. But at the same time, Shrek has come to his senses and has come to confess his feelings, but he overhears Fiona's ugly talk and thinks she's talking about him. Broken and ashamed, he saunters off into the night. The next morning, Shrek shows up with Farquaad and his team of soldiers to trade Fiona for the deed to his swamp. He is bitter and cold to both Fiona and Donkey for the misunderstanding that he overheard last night, and he basically tells him to sit on it. Shrek walks off into the forest to reclaim his swamp. Fiona rides off with Farquaad to plan her wedding, and Donkey is left alone. Are you sad yet? No? Well then here's a sappy song montage of how unhappy all the main characters are! Shrek hears a ruckus outside his house and finds Donkey building a wall through his land as opposed to around it, like they had discussed before. Donkey claims that since he's done half the work, he gets half the land. It's only fair. The two squabble and Donkey reminds him that they're friends, and friends forgive each other, and if Shrek would just stop being a stubborn ass, maybe they could get back together and go find Fiona. Shrek asks, how will we even get to the wedding in time? To which Donkey replies, I started banging the dragon and she'll fly us there. So many questions. The dragon flies them to Farquaad's castle where they're able to stop the wedding just in time. Farquaad mocks Shrek as he confesses his feelings, prompting Fiona to notice the sun setting and reveal her true form to everyone. Farquaad orders the ogres be taken away and declares himself king. Shrek lets out a whistle and the dragon smashes through the stained glass window and eats Farquaad. With the king out of the way, Shrek and Fiona share a kiss, revealing her true form. a beautiful green ogre, leading us to our very happy ending. Shrek and Fiona have a wedding in the swamp with all of the fairy tale creatures in attendance. Donkey sings with the band, and the happy couple rides off in an onion-shaped carriage, closing the book on this modern-day fairy tale. And that's it! That's the first story of Shrek. I love this movie. It's funny, it's interesting, it makes you cry sometimes. Anyone can watch this movie, any age, child, adult, you can watch it. You can watch it together, you can watch it with adults, you can watch it with kids. It's great, it's a great movie. The humor and the animation still hold up 20 years later. I still quote this movie. Really, really, all the time. Say it all the time. At the time, it was one of the movies that really helped pave the way with the 3D animation. It's everywhere today. It's everywhere. Every single cartoon that comes out today is CGI, and Shrek helped with that. Do I recommend it? I highly recommend this movie. Whether you're watching it by yourself or with a group of people and you just want to feel good, put on Shrek. It'll make you feel good. That's it. That's my first review. I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Real quick, I want to thank Joe and Sean from Movie Dumpster and super famous Tony from Hack the Movies. I love watching those dudes review movies, and they inspired me to do this channel. So here I am. Hi, fellas. If you're watching, love you. Thank you, guys. Thank you at home, and hope to see you in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe.